Hello, everyone, and welcome to another installment of the Rogue Soul channel. I am your host, Javante, and today I'm coming to you again with another installment, another heart to heart, another conversation about my struggle, my trials, tribulations, and keeping myself accountable and sort of just documenting my journey. And today I would like to discuss religion and finding spirituality. Um, Another topic that's really dear. It, it, it's really it's really hard for me to talk about, and for many reasons. Of course, for those that haven't watched any of my previous videos before, um, I am a part of the LGBT community. I am a gay man. And for the longest, um, I felt that religion just wasn't right for me. Religion just was just working against me, was against everything that I was against one of the biggest part of who I was, which was, who I choose to love and be in a relationship with. Now, when I was younger, of course, I had a religion. I had a family that was very religious, went to church on Sundays. Well, I had a grandmother that went to church on Sundays. My mom really wasn't um, that religious until she started getting inklings later on, and I think she sort of just turned to that. I don't think my father was either. They're both just pretty like we go about life. I think they did like, but they believed that there was a God, but they weren't like going to church on Sundays and all that whole jazz. But I typically would go with my grandmother. Now, growing up, I would call it a non-denominational Christian, and what that meant was sorry, it's a cat in here. If she's playing around. Oh, that was a good distraction. That was funny. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Sorry. I grew up sort of a non-denominational Christian, went to church on Sundays up until a certain point where just my family just stopped going, but they still remained like heavy, like religious. And I just felt like a lot of the teachings were very hypocritical. And then as I got older, you learn different things, like different books being taken out, the Apocrypha, and just all of this other stuff, and how it was translated, and from it's a lot of things that go into play when it comes down to that. And it was just hard for me to trust that. And I found my life so I always believed that I found myself a lot of times in a sad space, in an angry space, in a bitter space, like growing up, and just like, why couldn't I just be, why couldn't I just exist? Why is this just not just a bad thing? And over time, it just, it ate away at me. It ate away at me, and I got to a point where I didn't trust God anymore. I didn't trust spirit anymore. Um, I say spirit now because I transitioned into doing more like spiritual practices, like meditations and talking to spirit guides and talking to God or like the divine source of all things. And I find that that works for me because I find that I'm getting ahead of myself later on in life. I found that that's working more for my behalf. But before I got there, I was very much in a non religious space, sort of just renounced all religions and was sort of just, I'm just walking this earth and I'm doing what I need to do to survive. We'll worry about what happens on the other side when we get there because I don't know, a lot of people don't know, and I don't trust it. I don't trust what's been written down. I believe heavily that, a lot of, I had to learn, put it to you this way, I had to learn that not every Christian is a bad person. Not every Catholic is a bad person. And not every Christian is against the LGBT community. Not every Catholic is against them. Not every Catholic is bad. All, and that goes for, I'm using those two as examples, but it goes for all religions. Because people in general have both good and bad in them. So you're always going to find some bad apples in a bunch. It's always going to be a few that are rotten. Because that's just the complexity of human nature. But it's not the whole in its totality. And I had to learn that the teachings of, because I was heavily against Jesus Christ. I was heavily against Christianity just altogether because I found it very hypocritical to preach all this love and kindness and tolerance, but then slam not just one section, a whole different sections of people in different parts of it, all throughout the Bible. And I didn't understand that. And I didn't want any part of it. I had to learn that not everybody deals in those hypocritical ways, that they do honor one of the tried and true teachings of the Bible: love, forgiveness, kindness, doing good deeds. And I started to not believe in, true kindness, true good deeds. I thought that they all went punished. And I was in a real bad space, and I had no faith and no hope. And over time, with my family and my cousins introducing me to spirituality and like meditations and like spirit guides and talking to, just connecting with the divine source, just to God, because he speaks through us all. And I had to really say to myself, Javante, you have to find some kind of faith. You just can't just go just not believing in anything. And by anything, I do mean anything. Like, I didn't believe in people. I didn't believe in myself. I didn't believe in family. I didn't believe in love, first and foremost. And I had to start sitting and talking to spirit and just talking to him and understanding more about myself, and then continuing on to do so and meditating daily and just sort of just talking about my day out loud, talking to God about your day out loud, talking and feeling free. The Great Spirit is very... I had to learn that the Great Spirit gives many... It's just so much love there, regardless of how you feel, regardless of anything that you said or anything that you renounced. And I had to learn that all roads lead to the source. All religions lead to the divine that created us all. Every way is a route. And every way showcases its divine nature of having just both love, light, and darkness in and of it, and just in darkness in and of itself, because that's what we're all made of. And I'm grateful for that. I truly am, because I'm taking the steps how to trust again, how to not just in spirituality or into the Great Spirit, but also learning to trust in myself, learning to trust my family, learning to trust people. I'm going into a space where I can be in direct communication with the Great Spirit all the time, at any point in time, if I choose to. It's all about choice. And I also had to learn it didn't matter which route you took. I could have gone back to being a Christian if I wanted to go that route and roll by those principles and ideals, and just following the Bible step by step, and being involved in that. I could have went in and joined Islam or any other, joined Buddhism, Shinto, all the other religions. It's all a route to the divine source. And I'm very, very grateful to my family for pointing me in the right direction with that. Just noticing that I could, receive more help and do more to make myself into a better person if I established my faith, if I established faith in myself, my faith in the divine, my faith in my family, my faith in my fellow man. If I could learn and grow and believe in that love and that light and that positive being, I can transform myself. I can be different. I don't have to stay the same. I don't have to stay in negativity. I don't have to believe that the world is just inherently negative. I don't have to believe that it's just completely dangerous out there. Yes, there is danger out there, but there's also a bunch of beauty. there's also a bunch of good things and great people and fun things to do. A whole bunch of things to do to occupy your time. But if you're only focusing on the bad, if you're only focusing on what's negative out there, that's what you're going to see. And that's another thing that spirituality has taught me along the way, and that I'm still, again, still learning and still taking the steps with that to sort of go about life and not just automatically jumping into the negative of things. Because I know with myself, that's Javante, that's what you tend to do. Javante, you tend to, I have to say that to myself. You tend to go into situations and see problems, but not solutions. You go into situations and you can point out all the bad or all that's fucked up with it. And then when asked, well, what can we do to help? You throw your hands up, well, I don't know, it's just so goddamn bad. And I have to come out of that way of thinking. So that's something that spirituality is helping me do. Establishing belief, establishing faith. I was not always for what the Bible said. I know, like when you're young, and when I was young, I was very like impressionable. I thought, oh, okay, nice stories. I thought it was okay. This is how you're supposed to be. And then as I got older, I'm starting to really gain a different perspective. This seems very hypocritical. And then you look at your family and they're joking, making jokes and snide remarks about, the LGBT people and gay men at that. And you start to feel, I really can't be myself around these people. That's how I started to feel. And I remember one time hearing my grandmother say, I can't believe what they did with the rainbow. The rainbow was supposed to be a symbol of God's love. For those unfamiliar, it's the story of Noah at the end of the Great Flood, and at the end of the Great Flood, and they were getting off the boat, God sent the rainbow, and the rainbow was, again, a promise that he would never send another flood. And it's a symbol of God's, love for us also. At least that's how it was taught to me growing up. And I remember, it was at a point in time where I was coming to understand more about myself and understanding that, I was gay and I was, still am, I'm saying was, but, I am gay and I am a part of that. And I'm watching, gay protests and people marching to Washington or, out in different public spaces wanting, equal rights and wanting, to be accepted in the real world. And to hear her say that wasn't right, it hurt and it confused me. It confused me because, if those of you that don't know, I am also African American, if you couldn't tell. Because it wasn't that long ago where it was just African Americans on those same streets, on those same corners, picketing, asking the government, chanting, demanding for equal rights. and to be treated equally. And to hear people, especially people closer to you, say that to you, it's very daunting. It was very daunting to me. I was very, very much so like, wow, what a terrible place to be, this world. How quick are we as a culture to forget, and by we I say African American culture, how quick are we to forget those times? Hell, we're even still doing it today. With the police violence and stuff like that against our people, the people of color, and just the African American community in and of itself. It's just the police violence against us it's still sky high. You're still out there marching. You're still out there wanting, demanding, asking for equal rights. And I took that and I was just negatively bogged down with it. I felt like I had to be secret. And not just that, my whole being had to be secret. Because if you don't like that aspect of me, and then I'm also in a space where it's also very critical that you be what is asked of you to be. Then I felt like there was no place for me. So again, like I said in a previous video, I started, entering create a sim mode. Oh, I'm going to create, what persona could I be? I'm going to be this persona for these people. That'll be good for them. That's how you got to deal with those people over there. Here's my persona for work. Here's my persona for the family the family and relatives that I have. Here's for those relatives. And I started splitting myself off, and I got further and further away from myself. Not saying that this was like the straw that broke the camel's back. I'm doing this series to point out all of these struggles played a part. And also I want to show myself that I can work through those struggles and be happy and have faith in mankind, have faith in myself, have faith in my new family that I have faith, just period, in love and light and life in general. And I may not be happy all the time, and I may still have my slip-ups, I may still have more trials and more struggles ahead, but the difference now is that with me being fully aware and accountable of myself, I can choose to have faith. I can choose a higher path. I can choose to be close to the Great Spirit and not move further away just because there are a few rotten apples in the bunch. Not to let that ruin the whole message. Just period, point blank. With that said, I have no plans anytime soon to go back to being a full-fledged non-denominational Christian or just a Christian to begin with. But it was a part of me. It was a part of my lifestyle in the past. And I've had both good and bad times with it. But now I'm moving on to something more spiritual that I can get down with more. And I'm going to stick with that from henceforth. I'm going to stick with my spirituality. I'm going to stick with my meditations. I'm going to stick with just talking, directly to the Great Spirit and having that faith, having that trust, and being there, and always knowing that the Great Spirit is there for me, whether I see it or whether I choose to see it or not. Always there. I done made it through a whole slew of craziness and trials and fucked up things that I put myself in, that others have put me through. A whole slew of situations that I have gotten through, that I have survived, that I have came forward and thrived and made it. And I can't take all that credit. I can't take all that credit. I definitely would have to have some divine interference. And it makes me gleeful that somewhere out there, someone loved me so much that when they seen me going through what I went through, every time they will step in to find a solution, or to help you find a solution, or to try to offer comfort, whether or not you took it or not, whether or not I took it or not. Plain and simple. It's just that somebody there loved me enough to at least try continuously, whether I choose to believe or not. And so, I pay my respects to the Great Spirit for that, and recognize that I'm capable of having that unconditional love as well. And so I'm going to keep moving forward, keep having faith, keep having hope, and I'm going to, no matter what happens, I'm going to continue to live. I'm going to continue to do my best, try my hardest, and be strong in my faith and in hope, in doing the right thing. But that's my video for today. That's the conversation I wanted to have with you guys. I wanted to sort of just talk through it for myself and get it sort of just out there as a form of expression. And also continue to inspire myself to move forward, to know that I have come far from having no faith to gaining faith, to gaining hope, to gaining understanding, to building a connection. But as always, I thank you guys for joining me on this journey, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening. And please please, if you're going through anything out there that's troublesome, have faith, have hope. You will get through it. I'm gonna do the same thing with anything that happens to me. All right. Bye bye. And I'll see you next time in the next video.